welcome to yet another edition of Familiarize Yourself with the Law. This I'm Leonora Jawara sitting in for Abdulrahman Kamara. And in today's edition of the program, we shall be discussing about rape and sexual offences, which is becoming alarming in Sierra Leone. To discuss more on that with me, I have lawyer Francis Gabidon. Good evening, lawyer Francis Gabidon.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right. We shall be deviating a little and we shall be talking about the Oba at 90 celebration. To discuss that with me, I have with me Cyrus Sharif. He is the Publicity Secretary of the Old Bo Boys School Association, the Oba. Good evening, Cyrus.
Good evening.
All right, let's begin the program with lawyer Francis Gabidon. We're talking about sexual offenses and rape. First, let's get the distinction between the two. What is rape and what is sexual offenses? What is sexual assault?
Well, rape is a form of sexual offense. Sexual offenses can include rape, can include penetration, touching, sexual harassment. It's a much wider term. But nowadays, the serious problem we're having inside is sexual penetration and rape. It has become an endemic situation in this country. I cannot recall the number of years I have lived in my blessed country, Sierra Leone, and I've seen so many rape and sexual penetration offenses. Why, I don't know, but it's very serious. And I believe that when the president decided that we should amend the law and bring in life imprisonment, it was taking this thing at the right level. Because even after he has made a pronouncement, even after the judges are now sentencing people to life imprisonment, it has not stopped. In fact, it's as if people don't care. Because over the last 2 days, I think they've sentenced another 2 to life imprisonment. You would have thought that that's a deterrent and they would stop, but it has not stopped. Problem is, why are people still carrying on this sort of dastardly acts in this country?
So that is the big question. Let's look at our sexual offences laws. What are some of the laws that are already there?
Well, you have rape, you have carnal knowledge, you have indecent assault. They're all there. Burglary. These are all offenses which we've been used to. But we've never seen this extent of these sexual offenses. Just after the war, or during the war, there were some sexual offenses, and we thought because of the war, things will die down. But on the contrary, it has increased. The two main ones are rape and sexual penetration. Those are the two that are now endemic throughout Sierra Leone.
All right, let's look at our Sexual Offences Act and its implementation. How much has it been fully implemented?
Well, now I think it's implemented seriously. Years ago, up to recently, I would not say it was fully implemented. Now, because of the deterrence of life imprisonment, because the community is aware now, there are human rights groups, there are women's groups, there are so many people who are now watching, the police are on alert, it has now become a serious matter. But you know...
But what does the Act itself say?
Well, the Act it says that if you have sex with somebody below the age of 18 without a consent, that could be rape. Below 18 and without
okay, let me
a
hold you
consent.
that, lawyer Gabidon. Let me say consent. What does it mean?
It means if I propose to you, I don't mean personally, and I said I would like to have sex with you, if you are below 18, I'm asking for trouble. Even if you are over 18, if you do not consent, if you do not agree, that is rape. If you are asleep and I have sex with you without your consent, that is rape. If you are drunk and you do not consent, that is rape. The important word there is consent. Have you agreed? Would you also like to have sex? The fact that you have not agreed is the bottom line. The problem is, there are times when a man would say, that the woman said that she was over 18, or he thought that the woman was over 18. You have situations like this, especially in situations like us where some people don't have birth certificates or people cannot tell you their ages. You're fraught with problems. The best thing is to stay clear, especially if you're a married man, then you should not have a problem. Stick to your wife. But if you're single and you attempt to have sex with somebody below the age of 18, you're asking for trouble. So I'm not going to the details. I'm just giving you general so that people can understand. So
what about in the case of couples, a man and a wife? Can a man rape his wife?
Interesting enough. Up to about 5 years ago, in England, a man cannot rape his wife. But a case took place in England, we call it R versus R, in which marital rape is now an offense in England. Whether that decision will be followed through in Sierra Leone, I'm not sure. So far in Sierra Leone, I would say that we do not have marital rape. You are presumed to consent to having sex because you are one. When you marry or when you got, with your wife, you're supposed to have sex. It's one of the things you're expected to do. But this case in England, it's thrown a new light that if, for example, you've separated from your wife, if, for example, your wife clearly states that she doesn't want to have intercourse with you, and now, if you do that, you will be involved in what is called marital rape. It's an offense in England, but not yet tested in our courts. I'm very careful what I'm saying. Nobody has tested it. I don't know of anybody in Sierra Leone. I would not be surprised if very soon we might have a test case of marital rape. But generally, it does not exist in Sierra Leone.
What about in the case when a man has sex with an insane woman? Can it be described as rape?
Yes, it can be described because the insane woman is not, you don't expect that she would have given her consent because of her state of mind. But you have what is called lucid moments. That is, even when some people are mad, they have what is called lucid moments. I think if the man can prove that during that lucid moment, the woman gave consent and the court accepts that, then it will not be rape.
So let's go back to our Sexual Offences Act. What does the law say?
The law says that you can have sex with somebody, but you must have the consent of the person. The person must be over the age of 18, and it has to be voluntarily. That is, you cannot force somebody to have sex. Because, for example, if you force somebody, even if there is consent, that is rape. So it must be a voluntary act. The man wants to have sex with the woman wants to have sex with the man, voluntarily. But some men might put something in the drink of a woman, like what happened to Bill Cosby in America recently. For over 30 years, women said he was putting drugs in their drinks, and after so many years. Or if you get a woman drunk. The other day, I went to a party, and I heard that somebody put some drinks trying to get women to get drunk. In fact, it was the drivers who were affected, people who drove vehicles for free, and most of them couldn't drive their vehicles. It's a serious matter. If you do things like that, put drugs, put alcohol, put substances which could affect the state of mind of the person, then you can be convicted of rape. It's a very technical offense. The slightest penetration without the consent of the person is rape. Slightest penetration.
So how can you analyze sexual offenses under Sierra Leone laws?
Well, we have problems in this country. Let me give you one problem I think we have. If you're having sex with a woman in which she originally consented, and halfway, well, she said, stop, stop. Most Sierra Leone men might not want to stop. I'm just saying. The chances are that some might want to continue. That is rape. Because our society will say, oh, well, as far as I'm concerned, she had given me her consent. Two, there are times when men tend to confuse the answer of a woman. Supposing a man says, I'd like to have sex with you, And the woman says, well, I'm not sure, please leave me alone, not tonight. Silence, the average silent woman says, when I hypocrite, they make you undo. You have these sorts of problems. Also, with our less fortunate brothers and sisters who have not attended school or had the opportunity of higher education, it might not be easy to explain some of these things to them. For example, because of our native laws and custom, you might have people who believe that they must not say no to somebody from bigger age, elderly person. There are all sorts of problems. We have to do a lot of sensitization, a lot of education. Also, under native laws and customs, some of our ladies marry very early. And some native laws would allow you to marry below 18. We are having problems with that. In fact, they have to look at this law as well. Because under native law and custom, you can have somebody marrying below 18. And if it's by native law and custom, would you say that is rape? As opposed to the English law that we borrowed. So you have this conflict between our own local laws, our native law and custom, and that we borrowed from England or from other countries.
No.
So we have to picture an overall holistic situation. Either we educate our brothers and sisters in the provinces so that they become like us, or we separate them as they still are. But I can tell you, right now we are just having problems with rape and sex.
But what are some of the types of sexual offenses?
Well, this is very interesting. For example, homosexuality. Homosexuality is still a crime in Sierra Leone. It has been repealed in some countries, but it is a crime. Lesbianism is not a crime. This will shock you. There is no law against lesbianism in Sierra Leone. Homosexuality is a crime. Abortion is still a crime. They tried to change it. The bill went to parliament.
Sorry to cut you. When you say there is no law against lesbianism in Sierra Leone,
Yes.
does it mean that it's okay?
Yes, as far as I'm concerned, it is okay. I teach it at Frobe College. I teach it at the university. Under human rights law, there is no law against lesbianism. You can quote me. Let one Sierra Leonean lawyer tell me where is the law against lesbianism in Sierra Leone. It does not exist. There is law against homosexuality, the Offences Against the Persons Act of 1861. It's a very old law. Buggery is an offense.
Lesbianism is the same gay sex.
Madam, I'm only telling you what the law is. I'm not going into the merits or demerits. I'm telling you what the law is. There is no law against lesbianism in Sierra Leone. Buggery is an offense in Sierra Leone. If you make love with somebody by the anus, some people call it, some call it buggery. Then you have bestiality, that is making love to an animal. This is also an offense. These are all in our law books. I'm not manufacturing them. I teach it all the time. At the University of Sierra Leone, I lecture it, I set exam questions on it, I've written articles on it. We have to do a lot of reform of our laws.
What are some of the reforms needed?
Of course reforms are needed, but we're not doing anything about them. I've written several articles. Nobody takes.
I'm asking, what are some of the reforms?
But these are the reforms. For example, I think abortion, personally, I think abortion should be watched and should be reviewed. I think in certain conditions, if, for example, there is incest or it's rape, I think they should allow an abortion. If, for example, a father rapes a daughter and the child is produced, or before that, if you want to have an abortion, that should be justified. Because how would you like to have a son or daughter for your father? Incest. And we see incest still in Sierra Leone. Parents having sex with their children. So we have to look at those laws.
So
homosexuality. In some countries now, it has been legalized. If it is in private, by people who consent, it's allowed. You asked about lesbianism. I don't know about the laws of other countries. It is possible, but not in Sierra Leone. There is no law against it in Sierra Leone, as far as I know. Not one. Obviously, making love to an animal, they will convict you. There are people who have been caught making love to animals in Sierra Leone. Yes, it's in our law books. So these are all sexual offenses.
Okay.
And some of them have existed for years. It's just the publicity. It's now most of these things are coming out. But they have existed inside for quite some time.
So, what is the stipulated jail term for a sexual offender? We see the president says lifetime jail for a minor, those who rape a minor. But what is the stipulated time for a
Up to
sexual
the
offender?
president, up to the time the president gave his direction, it was 15 years maximum. And judges had a leeway, that is, they can sentence you up to 15 years or below, 10 years, 7 years, 5 years. Now, there's no discretion. If you convict somebody of rape or sexual penetration, the maximum now is life. And most judges are now applying life, although I hear that 1 or 2 judges in the provinces, 1 or 2 in Kenema, have not applied life. The thing about life is, it's like a death sentence. That is why I have written articles to say, before we pass a sentence of life imprisonment, we need a first-class modern forensic laboratory to really prove a case beyond all reasonable doubt that somebody has committed that offense. As it is now, we have the Rainbow Center. They're doing a good job with limited circumstances. I don't think that is enough. I've spoken to doctors, I've spoken to lawyers who defend and prosecute. All you need to prove now is hymen ruptured, offensive odor, and some 1 or 2 minor. I don't think that is enough. I think to convict somebody where you have to sentence him to life imprisonment, which means it's as good as death, we need first-class laboratories, and we do not have them inside it. I believe the First Lady are here, is making arrangements, and the Ministry of Health, I think my brother here, Professor Afawu, are trying to get a good forensic laboratory. When you sentence somebody to life imprisonment, you are as good as dead. So just to get a medical report from a doctor, I don't think that is enough. You really need DNA evidence, which will specifically show that you are the accused person, why you should be convicted. I think certain apparatus have to be put in place so that when a decision is taken to lock you up till you
What
die,
about
then it has...
achieving justice for child victims of sexual violence? Do you think that is...
Well, they have counseling centers. They have... I don't know much about that area, but I know they do counseling, Rainbow, but there are some institutions that do counseling and try to help. How much is done, I cannot tell.
All right, so let's, most times I get confused. In the case when a minor rape a minor, what is the offense?
It is still the same. It is still the same. That is being a question asked all the time. It is still the same. It doesn't matter the fact that he's a minor, so long as the lady is below 18. Yeah.
All right. Okay, let me hold you. There is lawyer Francis Gabidon. We're talking about sexual offenses and rape. Now let's deviate a little. What I have with me, Sarah Sherif, is from Oba. They are celebrating their 9 years in existence. 90 years in existence. Welcome, Sarah Sherif.
Thank you.
Oba at 90. What's the journey so far? How has it been?
It's been years of consistent celebration of excellence. I can say, our existence has been remarkably, and we've gone through thick and thins in the past years. I can say one challenging one was during the war. Even though there was war, we still maintained the tradition of having an Oba celebration. Even during Ebola, we had a session. We just changed the complexion of the celebration. But however, we hold it. So consistently, we've been celebrating Oba, and this year we're celebrating Oba at 90.
Okay, Oba at 90. So what's the planned celebration?
So we kickstart that. That was kickstarted on Saturday, with a marathon. Thanks to all those who supported us, and then our friends and families and well-wishers were there. So in the next 48 hours or so, we'll be in Bo. We'll start on Friday with opening of a mosque and having Juma prayers. Sorry, after Juma prayers, we'll have the speech day and prize giving ceremony where we give prizes to the boys, and then we move on to the reunion night in the evening. And after the reunion night, then on Saturday we'll have the annual general meeting, the AGM, which is purely internal matters for registered members of the association, where we discuss the different affairs of the AGM of the association. And in the afternoon we'll have a traditional session where what we call double of chiefs. But before that, on Saturday we'll have in the morning cross country, where we'll do exercise with the boys as well. And we have AGM. After the AGM, we'll have lunch with the boys. They call it cow for condo with the boys. So yes, after that session, we'll have the double of chiefs, where our both school boys that have become chiefs are, arraigned in one piece to showcase their traditions and culture around. And this one last year it was done. But we had little time for that. This time we are having special time for double of chiefs, and that is one of the highlights of the day on Saturday. And in the evening we have the dinner and award ceremony. That's later on. If you give me time, I will talk about the respective prices, what makes you to enter the dinner. But at that session we'll have awards given to committed and dedicated members of OBA who've served the association. We give lifetime achievement awards to people who have committed themselves consistently to OBA in the past years. We've had people who've served OBA for over 50 years, I can tell you. And then on Sunday, we'll have our Thanksgiving prayer and service, and then we march through the streets of Freetown. And in the evening, what will climax that session will be Carnival. So and then on Monday morning we'll have the final session that closes OBAT 90, that closes the AGM for OBAT 90. That doesn't mean we'll not have other programs during the course of the year that will end OBAT 90. But yes, in a summary, that is what the program will look like this week, and will climax what OBAT 90 will look like this year.
Okay, so the Bo Boys School, it's got big names. It's loud.
No, it's called the Bo School.
The Bo School.
And the association is Old Bo Boys
Old
Association.
Bo Boys School Association.
No, Old Bo Boys Association.
Old Bo Boys Association.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, now tell us about the excellence of the school. How has it been?
So generally, in the past it has been consistently excellent, but I can say in the last 5 to 10 years, academia generally has been on the dwindle. So that's Bo School is not an exception. However, we've not stood to follow up that particular trend. Our boys have been doing well, but yet, yes, more needs to be done, and they've been scoring, they've been hitting their notes in academia in the past.
All right. Continue to stay with me. Cyrus Sharif is talking about the OBA at 90 celebration. Let me bring in again lawyer Francis Gabidon. We're talking about sexual offences in Sierra Leone. Now, lawyer Francis Gabidon, let's look at the way Sierra Leone courts handle sexual offences cases. And most times the prosecution process, it's most times slow. Justice delayed is justice denied. So what's your take?
You're quite right. Yes, justice delayed is justice denied. And this is because, one, as I said to you, I don't think we really have the facilities. That's my view. What we have is so limited to prosecute people for sexual offenses. We need a good forensic modern laboratory which can do blood, urine, semen, all these tests at a very high level. We also have to do DNA testing. The reason for this is that if you're going to lock up somebody for the rest of his life, you must make sure that the tests that you're going to use to justify convicting that person have no doubt. That is beyond all reasonable doubt. As it is now, they are flawed. Number two,
When you say they are flawed, how?
they're flawed in the sense that they do not point specifically to Mr. X that you are the person. To me, without DNA testing, it's a matter of, look, we have only one pathologist in this country, only one. What he says is acceptable. In most countries, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, which means the pathologist can be wrong. In Sierra Leone, what he says, that's it, it's acceptable. Because there's nobody to challenge the one pathologist we have. There is no other country in West Africa that has one pathologist. I cannot accept that, to do that to one. If anything happens, my friend, always come out. If he dies or goes out of, so that means that's the end of any pathological test in this country. We cannot recruit pathologists when we have quite a number overseas, especially with this new direction that is doing so well. That's number one. Number two, I have spoken to most of the lawyers who defend these cases, and they will tell you that the medical reports are neither here nor there. They don't say much. Hymen ruptured. Madam, your hymen can be ruptured either by driving a horse or by riding a horse in a motor car accident or many other things that can cause that. So that is flawed. Hymen rupture does not mean that you had sex. Number two, offensive odor. Somebody who is not hygienic. There are so many things which are wrong with these medical reports. They are not what I'll call the type of reports you expect to convict somebody to lock that person up for the rest of his life. I'm ready to challenge anybody on this. I've done a lot of study on it, and I know what I'm saying. I love my country. I'd like to see justice. I'd like to see improvement, but we must have reforms. We cannot continue as if we are in the what-not century. In Rwanda, somebody went to Rwanda recently. He said it's a one-stop situation. From the laboratory, within 24, 48 hours, they're ready to prosecute. You are talking about delays. You're not supposed to be delaying in this. Supposing over a period of time, the tests are getting weaker. They are getting lower. You don't have refrigeration. You don't have certain time. These are all the facts. That's why they are flawed. There's a lot of work to be done. The first lady said she's going to have a good diagnostic center. I don't know whether you'll be listening to her. She said so. We need it. We cannot carry on like this.
So let's look at...
I'm sorry I have to criticize, but that is the reality on the ground because I want improvement. Because you're locking up somebody for the rest of his or her life. That is a death sentence.
Okay. Let's look at sexual harassment in offices and other places.
Yeah.
Is it an offense also? Can it be prosecuted?
Oh. In some countries where they apply Sharia law, they'll stone you to death. Madam,
Yes.
they'll stone you to death. In some countries, they probably cut your hands. In some countries, they castrate you. You know what is castration? Yes, some are worse than life imprisonment. If you have sex with a 2-year-old girl, you destroy that girl for life. Her future is over. She has no future. Look at the girl who died, I think, recently at one of these centers. What's the center? In Aberdeen, where? How can anybody do such a thing to a girl? Some people think those people should be killed. Some people are not even satisfied with the life imprisonment. Why would anybody in his right sense make love to a 9-month-old lady, a 2-year-old girl? I mean, are we sick? Have we gone deranged in this country? With so many women in Sierra Leone? With so many women looking for people? If you go to the Victoria Park now, at about 6:30 pass around there, you see young girls plying their trade. Go to Aberdeen at night. I'm not saying they should do that, but do you have to go to a little guy like that? In some countries, definitely, you'll be probably stoned to death. They're too serious. I cannot imagine anybody making love to a 2-year-old girl. You're sick.
We're discussing sexual offenses and rape. I have with me lawyer Francis Gabidon, and we're also looking at Oba at 90. To discuss that is Cyrus Sheriff. Now, Cyrus, what are some of the success stories of Oba?
I think we mentioned that earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah, so about 90 is familiarizing with the law as well.
you have the president,
Yes.
candidate,
Yes, yes. I think for about 90, one of our achievements and success is achieving what the very reason for which the school was founded in 1906, and for the reason also for which it was founded, the association was founded in 1929. That is, the school was initially created by colonial masters for the sons of paramount chiefs. They were unable to, nominees, they were unable to go to school earlier, so that they can bring them together to understand and know what leadership is all about. But over the years, other people who are non-paramount chiefs, who are non-nominees of paramount chiefs, were also accommodated in school because of what the school had to offer. But however, that did not change the tradition of the school of raising men, boys or men into leadership positions. So today, we've achieved that. For the past 90 years, last year, we had one of us that attained the highest seat in politics. And we've had, that is in the person of retired Brigadier General
It's no news.
Yes, so he is one of us. And that, if you had him in one of his speeches, I think he said he only has two institutions that made him what he is today. That is the boat school and the military. So that tells you how the school has been, a role model, has a culture of developing and training people into a position of leadership. Previously, I've just been reminded that Victor Fo was also is also a boat school boy. We have several of them in all spheres of life.
We have lots of credible people in society.
Every spheres of life.
People of Oba. How much support are they giving to the school?
Well, as much as it's could, as much as they could, as much as possible. I mean, I can tell you we have over 10 or more branches across the world. This year and every other year, we have them coming from everywhere. That's where we have what we called AGM. We converge to discuss affairs and matters of the school. That is the school that accommodates people from every region. We have that national character. We have that national cohesion. It is in that school we do not know your name. We know people by number. We don't know your tribe. We know people by your number. We know you by from where you are living. That is your town, or So that is what we know. We don't know your color. We don't know religion. It's because of the transformation that is taking place in the world that even there's the very first time we're having a mosque on campus. We never had a mosque. We never had a church. So it's apolitical. It's non-denominational. Okay.
So what are some of the key transformation?
Like I said, several things. I mean, a lot of things have been changing. First of all, the school has now a growing population, so a lot of things needs to has been going on in terms of discipline. I mean, the use of technology in our days, we did not have technology. So, in fact, even I still remember when I was in school, our results were posted, to our parents when we were in school. Now, you just go now to internet, or you see these things. So for you, what you are to do in school is to just read, study, and go through the traditions of the school, and go back home when schools are over, and you wait for a result to come. These are interesting, but maybe we'll find another session to discuss what obtains in the boat school. Yes.
All right. Is the president going to be part of this 90th celebration?
He's supposed to be part of, because he has been part of. All of the time he's been in Sierra Leone, all of the time he spends time in Sierra Leone, he joins us at every function. So now he's a statesman. I cannot speak for him. I'm not a presidential spokesperson, but I think if it's in country, he's supposed to attend.
So the last celebration we said it was very flamboyant.
Yes.
So how different is this one going to be?
That was 89th session. This is the 90th session, and this is big.
How big?
You can see if you saw our marathon last week. last weekend, you know that it's big. I mean, I'm sure I saw in the social media that the president will be back on the 19th, so which means he will be with us on the 20th and the 21st and the 22nd for the AGM. He always attends this thing because Bo School is at the center of his heart, and he wants the school to be a model. So I'm sure, and we have all of these celebrations that we're having now. You see, these are key celebrations. I mean, double of chiefs, where we have at least 15 paramount chiefs who went to the Bo School, will be showcasing with their retinue of traditional dancers their culture. That is unique. Huh? So we have also, we'll be awarding our members. We have someone that have spent, he's now 88, so which means he spent like over 74 years with the school, either as a pupil or as a member of OBA. So those ones will celebrate. In fact, that is in the person of Dr. S.S. Banya. He will be our keynote speaker. So it will be good if you're there to hear some of the reminiscences, some of the good things that the school have gone through and the association. He and we were having a chat. He was telling me how OBA was formed, and it's an interesting story. In fact, it was formed at a 40th day ceremony when the Reverend Tom Smith, the first principal of the school, died in London. They were not able to bring the corpse home. So the colonial secretary then had to write letters to all of the government's offices to release past pupils of the school to go down to Bo and have a session where they will discuss the affairs of the school and the funeral, the 40th day ceremony of the late principal. That was when it was formed. And interestingly, this year, at that time, 55 Wuri Amadou was the first secretary of the association. And so the story went on to, I can't say much. If you are at the ceremony, you'll hear much of that.
All right, continue to stay with me, Cyrus Sheriff. Let me bring in lawyer Francis Gabidon. Earlier we were discussing about sexual harassment. What are some of the forms of sexual harassment? Because these days, you see, guys touch women indiscriminately without knowing they're sexually harassing women. So what are some of the forms of sexual harassment?
Well, touching without somebody's consent is a form of harassment, as you say. Slapping a woman's bottom is a form of embarrassment. Playing with your cheeks or pulling your hair, doing something which you want to crave the attention, or you want to show that person like that. But there's so much sexual harassment in this country. But you know what is interesting is that now in advanced countries they charge or prosecute men, but you hardly hear of a woman being prosecuted for. I think men like to be sexually harassed. Women get annoyed, especially if they don't like the man. But some women don't say no, even when they are harassed. But in advanced countries
Or
now,
do we have provisions for...
No, we do not really have provision in our laws for sexual harassment per se. If we reform our laws, we'll have to make it an offense. Strictly speaking, you can insult somebody, you can touch indecent assault. As I said, specifically, there is no such thing as sexual harassment in our laws. These are all the new areas we have to reform. We have to change our laws. These laws, some of them are nearly 100 years old.
So we see rape is on the increase, babies getting raped,
Yes.
Teenagers,
Yes.
women in generally getting raped.
Yeah.
So do you think there's a strong need for the review of our sexual offenses?
Oh yes. Very strong, very strong. We need to review all our sexual offenses. We have to go up the provinces as well. We have to talk to our brothers and sisters, our fathers and mothers, to see how we can educate and sensitize them as to some of these new laws. We must synchronize what is happening in Freetown vis-a-vis the provinces, as I said to you, because we have local customs and tradition. We have a lot of work to do. I think the government is not just to amend these rape laws. I think government should set up a committee, not just of lawyers, but the religious people, psychologists, wide cross-section people. Let us go into our laws, review it, and get some strong laws. once and for all. We have the Safe Abortion Act, which is took it to Parliament. President Nkrumah refused to sign it. Some church people and mosque people went to him, told him not to sign it. I don't think that was a good idea. The president then said they'll take it up at a referendum. There was no referendum. What do we have now? You have backstreet abortionists killing our women who cannot actually do proper abortion, safe abortion. They're not being prosecuted. So we are in limbo. I criticized at a workshop recently our church and mosque people who went and persuaded ex-President Nkrumah not to sign that law. And what have they put in place? Nothing. So they persuaded him not to sign. They said there was going to be a referendum on it. No referendum. We've gone back to square one, where abortion is still illegal. A doctor can be prosecuted, a nurse, but of course none of them are prosecuted. So if you're successful in the abortion, fine. If you're not successful and the person dies, that's the end of it. Tell me when you heard about somebody being prosecuted in Sierra Leone for abortion. None. So, we have, some of our church and mosque people, I told them, I said, you people, we respect you, but you do things which some of us are not happy. I told them at a workshop. You went and persuaded Ernest Bai Koroma not to sign the Safe Abortion Act. What have you put in place? Nothing. And so we're in square one back. We're still in square one.
Okay, so like the president did, sentencing life imprisonment for child offenders. Do you think that is enough to help cope with the menace of rape in Sierra Leone?
No. That is not enough. One, we have to look at the laws again, number one. Number two, we need sensitization and education. We have to talk to our people. Programs like this, we have to have programs. We have to educate our people, especially the illiterate ones, half-educated people. Thirdly, some people have myths. People who join these occult groups, secret societies who believe. I had one the other day. The man said his business is bad and he has to go with a little child so that the business will. I could not believe it. Yes, this was the defense used in a court of law. We have people who believe in these things. Some join these cults, funny societies, where at one time they said if you have a sexually transmitted disease, you have to go to it with a young girl. That would wash out all the infection. These are things that our people, we have to talk to our people, we have to educate them. Also, as I said, we have to have good laboratories. And finally, I think our counseling, we have to have counseling centers so that victims of these sexual offenses will be able to rehabilitate them so that they come back to society. Because some of them, you knock at them for life. They don't get over it. There have been cases where some women have committed suicide whenever they think of what happened to them. Yes. Some have not been able to continue with school and college. They've been ostracized. So.
So as I round up with you, what should be your closing quotes then?
Well, my closing views will be, I think we're on the right path, but more has to be done. We have to get a modern forensic laboratory. We have to do DNA testing. We have to sensitize and educate our people. And I think victims of sexual offenses, we need to have more centers for counseling and rehabilitation. Okay. And I hope that we succeed.
All right, thank you so very much. It's lawyer Francis Gabidon. We've been discussing about rape and sexual offenses in Sierra Leone. Quickly, Cyrus, what's the way forward for the Oba?
Yes, I think we were not able to talk about what the dinner will look like.
Okay.
For people like you who want to attend the dinner, and then Lawyer Gabidon maybe he's interested. He's one of our closest friends to Oba. So the dinner, we have ordinary 100,000. We have patron single is 300,000 leons. We have chief patron single is 500,000. Chief patron double is 800,000, and we have chief patron double, yes, 800,000, and you have a table for 3 couples is 2 million loans. So on that note, I want to use this opportunity to thank our sponsors who've supported us thus far in the celebration. We have the AfriCell, Sierra Leone Commercial Bank, Rokel Commercial Bank, the NASIT. We have Sierra Tel. They've supported us in the process in this process. I want to just thank them, and that support, we don't take them for granted. It's part of fostering traditions of the school, and then of course promoting education, because we are setting the better examples for the boys in the school. So yes, for the reunion is free, the carnival is free, drinks will only be on sales.
Okay, remind viewers again, when is the slated date?
Yes, so the celebration starts on Friday the 19th
Good Friday.
of April at well, if you want to join for the Juma prayers, starts at 1:30, but the speech day and pricing starts at 2:30, immediately after the Juma prayers. And then the dates for the dinner is on Saturday at 8 p.m.
Where can one purchase the tickets for the dinner?
The tickets, if you go to 56 John Street, you ask for the tickets, you get it. If members, committee members can be contacted, you can contact me, or you can contact, if you come to as I speak now, where our association is having a meeting on 57 John Street.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you so very much. We wish you a very, very, very exciting celebration.
Thank you very much. You are invited. Star TV is invited
Alright,
to cover the program as well.
Okay, sure, we'll be there.
Yes.
Well, that's how we end Familiarize Yourself with the Law for today. I am Leonora Jawara. Thank you for watching. To stay blessed.